Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. So I had intended to do a live stream of the debate tonight, but I was hung up with other things. So I'm going to live stream the tail end of it, and then we'll just do some commentary and whatnot. This is something new that I've never tried before. I know we are a financial channel, but politics do influence finance after all. So let's give this a shot. Let's see if this works on here first. So I'm going to share the screen, and I'm going to unmute this over here. So let's see.
Where it started to increase. We got great equipment. We bought the certain dog that's the most incredible thing that you've ever seen, the way they can spot it. We did a lot, and we were getting very low numbers, very, very low numbers. Then he came along. The numbers, have you seen the numbers now?
Let me
It's
know if
not
you all
only
can
the
hear it.
18 million people that I believe is even low, because the gotaways, they don't even talk about gotaways. But the numbers of the amount of drugs and human trafficking in women coming across our border, the worst thing I've ever seen, at numbers that nobody's ever seen under him, because the border's so bad. But the number of drugs coming across our border now is the largest we've ever had by far.
President Trump, thank you. President Biden?
Well, they're really letting him talk.
Byproduct fentanyl went down for a while, and I wanted to make sure we use the machinery that can detect fentanyl. These big machines that roll over everything that comes across the border, and it costs.
I just started watching.
That was part of this deal we put together, this bipartisan deal. More fentanyl machines, more be able to detect drugs.
Where's my screen?
More numbers of agents, more numbers of all the people at the border. And when we had that deal done, he called his Republican colleagues, said, "Don't do it. It's going to hurt me politically." No, he never argued it's not a good bill. It's a really good bill. We need those machines. We need those machines.
Biden sounds a little
very
hoarse.
hard in every country in Asia in terms of precursors for fentanyl, and Mexico is working with us to make sure they don't have the technology to be able to put it together. That's what we have.
Biden sounds kind of hoarse. So I've missed the first hour of the debate, but Dissector's saying it's been really bad.
Addiction right now, struggling to get the treatment they need.
Well, this does pertain to it. He ended Remain in Mexico. He ended catch and release. I made it catch and release in Mexico, not catch and release here. We had so many things that we had done, hard negotiations with Mexico, and I got it all for nothing. It's just like when you have a hostage, we always pay $6 billion for a hostage. Every time we say it's a hostage. Now we have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin is laughing at this guy, probably asking for billions of dollars for the reporter. I will have him out very quickly as soon as.
So I'm confused. He spent like a week or two preparing, then he's done really bad. Really? So Trump's like doing that good against him. So if he did that bad, they may switch candidates. They've been talking about switching candidates, which at this point, what is it, like 4 months out? That's going to be tough. But he had like 2 weeks that he had like 16 people preparing him, so I'm kind of shocked. Trump is a good debater? Are you you're not messing with me, are you? I haven't seen the first hour. So I'll definitely go back and watch it. He sounds a little hoarse though. Like just looking at him right here, I haven't muted, but he looks tired. Let me go back to the screen here and unmute.
This guy's 3 years younger and a lot less competent. I think that just look at the record. Look at what I've done. Look, I've turned around the horrible situation he left me. As I said, 15 million new jobs, 800,000 manufacturing jobs, more investment in America, over billions of dollars in private investment in enterprises that we are growing. By the way, we brought an awful lot of people. Well, the whole idea of computer chips, we used to have 40% of the market. We invented those chips, and we lost it because he was sending people to find the cheapest jobs overseas and to bring home a product. So I went to South Korea. I convinced Samsung to invest billions of dollars here in the United States. And guess what? Those fabs, they call that to build these chips, those fabs pay over $100,000. You don't need a college degree for them. And there's billions, about $40 billion already being invested and being built right now in the United States, creating significant jobs for Americans from all over the world.
President Biden, you have 40 seconds left. Would you like to add anything?
Yeah, I would. The idea that somehow we are this failing country. I never heard a president talk like this before. We're the envy of the world. I named
How much longer is left in the debate? Is it supposed to be like 90 minutes?
for all our problems and all our opportunities. We're the most progressive country in the world in getting things done. We're the strongest country in the world. We're a country in the
So let's unpack this statement here. Yes and no. I think both parties suck. I think there's a lot of things both parties have done that have been terrible. I'm kind of in the middle, but yeah, it's both parties support like I feel like how much do I want to say here? Like the top 1%, the wealthy, like that top class always gets represented best no matter what.
Both of them, as you know, we made it public. He took none. I'd like to see him take one, just one, a real easy one. Like go through the first 5 questions. He couldn't do it. But I took 2 cognitive tests. I took physical exams every year. And we knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be smart.
The problem with the trickle down economics is that it doesn't get trickled down by the people that get the tax cuts. I feel like that's the problem.
You can't hit a ball 50 yards. I think I'm in very good shape. I feel that I'm as in good a shape as I was 25, 30 years ago. Actually, I'm probably a little bit lighter, but I'm in as good a shape as I was years ago. I feel very good. I feel the same. But I was willing to take a cognitive test. And you know what? If I didn't do well, I aced them. Dr. Ronnie Jackson, who's a great guy when he was White House doctor. And then I took another one, a similar one. And one of them said they'd never seen anybody ace him.
Thank you. President Biden?
you can see.
Just in case anybody wonders, by the way, this is why I don't prepare for videos, because you see where preparation gets you.
Said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway. Just take a look at what he says he is, and take a look at what he is. Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6.
What's wrong with Biden? Something's wrong. He sounds really hoarse.
Think you can do it?
That's the biggest lie. That he's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8.
Never.
But I had, you know,
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Let's
not
you
act
nobody
like
around.
children.
President Trump, we're going
This is
to
funny.
Let's not act like children.
Wow,
a
Trump
specific
said that.
concern that voters have about you. Will you pledge tonight that once all legal challenges have been exhausted, that you will accept the results of this election,
Oh, I knew they were gonna ask
regardless
him
of
that.
who wins? And you will say right now that political violence in any form.
He's going to say, if I agree with it, I'll accept it.
Yes, I believe that. It's totally unacceptable. And if you would see my statements that I made on Twitter at the time, and also my statement that I made in the Rose Garden, you would say it's one of the strongest statements you've ever seen. In addition to the speech I made in front of, I believe, the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. And I will tell you, nobody ever talks about that. They talk about a relatively small number of people that went to the Capitol, and in many cases were ushered in by the police. And as Nancy Pelosi said, it was her responsibility, not mine. She said that loud and clear. But the answer is, if the election is fair, free, and I want that more than anybody. And I'll tell you something. I wish he was a great president, because I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be at one of my many places enjoying myself. I wouldn't be under indictment because I wouldn't have been his political opponent, because he indicted me because I was his opponent. I wish he was a great president. I would rather have that. I wouldn't be here. I don't mind being here. But the only reason I'm here is he's so bad as a president that I'm going to make America great again. We're going to make America great again. We're a failing nation right now. We're a seriously failing nation. And we're a failing nation because of him. His policies are so.
So whoever the 16 people are that prepared Biden, I think they should all be fired. This is unbelievable.
It will never end with him. He will drive us into World War III. And we're closer to World War III than anybody can imagine. We are very, very close to World War III, and he's driving us there. And Kim Jong-un and President Xi of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, all of these, Putin, they don't respect him. They don't fear him. They have nothing going with this gentleman, and he's going to drive us into World War III.
You want a World War III? Let him follow and win and let Putin say, do what you want, NATO. Just do what you want. There's a thing called Article 5. An attack on one is attack on all, and required response. The idea, I can't think of a single major.
Yeah, Trump looks much more prepared. He looks much more focused and energetic for sure.
Because we are a powerful nation. We have wonderful peace because of the people, not me. It's because of the American people. They're capable of anything and they step up when they're needed. And right now, we're needed. We're needed to protect the world because our own safety is at stake. And again, you want to have a war.
Oh, there he
just
is.
let Putin go ahead and take Kyiv, make sure they move on, see what happens in Poland, Hungary, and other places along that border. Then you have a war.
President Trump, as I come back to you for a follow-up, the question was, will you accept the results of this election, regardless of who wins?
Just to finish what he said, if I might, Russia, they took a lot of land from Bush. They took a lot of land from Obama and Biden. They took no land, nothing from Trump, nothing. He knew not to do it. He's not going to play games with me. He knew that. I got along with him very well, but he knew not to play games. He took nothing from me. But now he's going to take the whole thing.
So, Dissector, if you haven't noticed, you're probably, I think most of the audience is probably on the right side. So, yeah, you might be a little outnumbered just from the audience standpoint, what I've noticed.
He's got us in such a bad position right now with Ukraine and Russia because Ukraine's not winning that war. He said, I will never settle until such time. They're running out of people. They're running out of soldiers. They've lost so many people. It's so sad. They've lost so many people, and they've lost those gorgeous cities with the gold.
You know who I think should run for president? I think Kumail should run for president. He'd be a great politician. What do you guys think? So to a point that Trump made, he's actually right. Like I think every president, the last 4 presidents, Russia took territory under them, but none under him. So that is somewhat true.
Fraud and everything else was ridiculous. And if you want, we'll have a news conference on it in a week, or we'll have another one of these in a week.
I actually have another choice. I'll show you all after the debate. Yeah, I put it in Discord, or I'll just write my own name in. I'm not of age to run. Maybe within the next 2 elections, maybe I can run. But yeah. You have to be like 35 or older, I think.
No political opponent stuff, because it's the only way he thinks he can win. But unfortunately, it's driven up my numbers and driven them up.
See, this is where everybody goes, oh, no, I'm really for Jill Stein. I'm really for Mickey Mouse. I'm really for Tim Tebow or whoever.
See, you're a whiner. When you lost the first time, you continued, you appealed and appealed to courts all across the country. Not one single court.
He sounds bad today.
And had any merit, state or local, none. But you continue to provoke this lie about somehow there's all this misrepresentation, all this stealing. There is no evidence of that at all. And I tell you what, I doubt whether you'll accept it because you're such a whiner. The idea, if you lose again, you accepting anything, you can't stand the loss. Something snapped in you when you lost the last time.
We'll be right back with more from the CNN presidential debate, live from Georgia.
Oh, commercials. Good. I can give you all my commentary now. Let's see. So what I want to say here. What do we got here? Ron Paul, Han Herman. Oh, here's what I'll do. I'll show you all my choice. This is my actual choice. You're very left economically. Well, it's weird. I feel like I'm fiscally conservative. I'm more socially liberal. But like, I feel like if you're a finance person, if you're an investor, you're kind of going to be more of like a fiscal conservative. I know we're all so open. It's the 21st century. It's 2024. We're just all so open, right? All right, let me share with you all actually my choice for 2024. Drum roll. Got to go into Discord here. And I'm not answering this question about frogs, by the way. But I will go here and show you all. I will reveal some exclusive news here for those of you that tuned in live, if I can figure out how to scroll over here. Dang, oh, here's the scroll button over here. By the way, while we're at it, haven't done this in a while.
Dissector, you are an idiot.
Had to do that, of course. Keep the funny sound bites coming. Okay, here we go. So this is actually my choice here for 2024. If you all can see that, I'm revealing my choice. We have other options. So that's what we got. Okay, let me do this. Let me stop that. Go back over here. Go back over here. Let's see. One more time. Got to do it. Never gets old.
Dissector, you are an idiot.
It just never gets old. All right, now let's go back since they're on a commercial break. I'll give you guys some more of my astute commentary. Keep the comments coming, by the way. Comments make things better. Let's see what we got here. Republicans aren't fiscally responsible. They're just pro-profit for corporations. Medicare for all is cheaper. Progressive policies are cheaper because they cut out the middleman. Well, the thing is, from what I see, and I'm looking at things objectively, like when Obamacare was passed, the cost of health insurance did not come down at all. And I'd like to see something done to actually bring down the cost of health insurance because, like all costs, all it does every single year is go up and up and up. And yeah, that's the thing. Both parties are corporate. And honestly, sometimes like the way they go after Trump, like all politicians are corrupt, I feel like. Trump is certainly no saint, but like the way they go after him, sometimes it makes me wonder, like I feel like the system, the way it is, like why? Because they've all done stuff. Biden's even done stuff too, And I don't know. Sometimes I get conflicted, I guess. Okay, let's see where we are. Still on a commercial break. Good. So you all get to. Well, you must be really far left. He was more to the right than he ran for sure. Like he kept a lot of the wars going and stuff. Um, But anyway, so here's the thing. You can make academic arguments and you can make what the general public sees. And right now, the general public, middle America, they see that inflation is horrible since, the last 4 years. And I get it. Like I've taken economics. I have a master's degree in finance. So I've had all the formal education and stuff. You can sit there and say, oh yeah, inflation was 9% in 2022. Now it's only 3% the past 2 years. That's all great. But that 3% is on top of the 9%. So that means by right now, you're actually at 15% inflation. And the average household doesn't give a shit. Like if you're trying to make the argument, oh, I cut inflation from 9% to 3%, that argument just, when people are struggling to buy things to make ends meet more so than they were 3 or 4 years ago, you can make that argument all you want, but that's where you don't really, unfortunately, the reality doesn't line up in your favor, I guess. Both Trump and Biden didn't have a great debate. Well, I'll watch it all. On the flip side, I missed like the first hour of it. Okay, let's see if we're back yet. Here we go.
Has increased your taxes because of the deficit. Number one, he's increased inflation because of the debacle he left after the way he handled the pandemic. And he finds himself in a position where he now wants to tax you more by putting a 10% tariff on everything that comes into the United States of America. What I did when, for example, he wants to get rid of the ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies. Well, guess what? We got it down to $35 for.
I really can't believe. Okay, this is my problem with government. This is my problem with the taxpayer dollars. So he had 16 people prepping him over 2 weeks, and he really can barely talk. That's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie.
Over 10 years because the government doesn't have to pay the exorbitant prices. I'm going to make that available to every senior all along. It's happening now, and everybody in America. He wants to get rid of that. I'm going to make sure that we have child care. We're going to significantly increase the credits people have for child care. I'm going to make sure we do something about what we're doing on lead pipes and all.
I know Trump does that a lot. He kind of like always feels the need to prove himself and stuff like that. I don't know. I think like maybe he feels like the media doesn't give him credit, and so he's always like proving himself. But he definitely does come across that way.
Like so many politicians, this man is just a complainer. He said, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to get rid of this tax, that tax. But he doesn't do anything. He doesn't do, all he does is make our country unsafe by allowing millions and millions of people to pour in. Our military doesn't respect him. We look like fools in Afghanistan. We didn't stop Israel, it was such a horrible thing that would have never happened. It should have never happened. Iran was broke. Anybody that did business with Iran, including China, they couldn't do business with the United States. They all passed. Iran was broke. They had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah, for terror, no money whatsoever. Again, Ukraine should have never happened. He talks about all this stuff, but he didn't do it. For 3.5 years, we're living in hell. We have the Palestinians and we have everybody else rioting all over the place. You talk about Charlottesville. This is 100 times Charlottesville, 1,000 times. The whole country is exploding because of you, because they don't respect you, and they have to respect their president, and they don't respect you throughout the world. What we did was incredible. We rebuilt the military.
Putin?
We got the largest tax cut.
He's having a good debate. I'm not going to lie. Are you saying Putin? Putin is running circles around NATO?
That gave jobs.
One thing I'm going to say, I'll be a little controversial here. There is a point of Trump's that I do agree with as far as NATO. So NATO is a global alliance, but we pay the majority of NATO. And he asked them while he was president to pay more. And they went nuts. They're like, oh, America's abandoning our responsibilities. Is it our job? This is my thing, okay? And I'm not like an isolationist, but like, is it our job to pay everyone else's bills? We're like $34 trillion in debt. Where do we get the money from? We have a fiat currency as it is. So is it our job to we send billions to Ukraine, and you even have people like in the ghettos, like in the Bronx that they interview, and they say this. They say, how can we send billions of dollars to Ukraine, but we can't rebuild a school? We can't rebuild a road. My community is in horrible condition. We've got all these homeless people. We've got all these problems here, but we send billions of dollars to Ukraine. You know what I mean? So we give all this money to NATO and the other countries proportionately don't. So that was one thing that I do kind of agree on. Anyway, let's see what we got. What's going on? Is it over? What just happened? What's going on? Technical difficulties?
The president and former president making their way off the CNN debate stage. Looks like July, the
Oh,
first lady
it's
has
over.
come out. Former President Trump walking.
I bet they didn't shake hands at all. So it just ended. It kind of like froze up on me. But anyway, okay, what else do we got here? We've got like 7 of you on. I 100% agree. So our debt is something like we're never going to get out of. I feel like it doubles under every president. There was a lot of money spent during COVID, which led to inflation. I think most of the dollars in circulation today were printed like during COVID. I think we printed like way too much money. We sent out like 3 stimulus checks. One was probably necessary. The lockdowns and all that. I think a lot of things that were done were just a disaster. But yeah, being $34 trillion in debt and sending billions to all these other countries. It just, the general public doesn't want it. And the general public, it seems like, we don't get a say. It's just whatever the politicians want to do, whatever wars they want to fight, whatever countries they want to send money to. It's like we, the general public, don't actually get a say in how our taxpayer dollars are used. And that is one thing that infuriates me. Anyway, let's see. Now we're going to have a bunch of analysis here. I wonder if they're all going to say, they're going to have a hard time. From what I've seen, like they're going to have a hard time if they're going to try to spin this a certain way. The media is going to have a hard time.
Between the two candidates. Let me be clear. None of them, and a lot of Republicans, don't think Donald Trump had a great night. Donald Trump broke the fact check machine more than I can count tonight. That will be on the record as we go forward. He refused to answer some very specific and direct questions about his conduct, about January 6th and what all. So that will be dealt with out there. And sometimes there's a parallel universe between the political elites and the American people. It'd be nice to see what the voters say. But I can tell you.
Let me switch over. So this is what I like about the media. So CNN will definitely be definitely be more left leaning, but let me see if I can find like Fox or something, because what's funny, like if you'll turn on Fox, they'll say Trump had a great debate. If you turn on MSNBC, they'll say Biden had an amazing night. Like it was like FDR, like the second coming of FDR, just like if he walks on stage. Let's see, who is this? Thomas Massey was the only politician who was right about the pandemic sending. I'll have to look him up. Okay, let's do this here. Let's see if I can find another live stream here real quick. We'll listen to some of the post-game punditry here. Let's see. Let me just go to YouTube and pull something else up here. I won't go for too much longer. Let's see. Fox News debate live. Oh, it looks like it's done. But anyway, you get the point. The media will, like, if it's Fox, they're going to say Trump did amazing. If it's MSNBC or CNN, they're going to say Biden did amazing. It was FDR times 10. Yeah, wasn't it great? I didn't watch most of it, but I'm probably going to go back. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just, are y'all having fun? Are y'all vibing here? Let's just start it from the beginning. I can't get all the punditry, so I'll be the punditry. Oh, wait, here we go. We got NBC. Let's see what they're saying. I got a Biden ad.
Impact.
Skip.
I will tell you that in about the back half of the debate, maybe the latter third of the debate, I heard from a Democratic lawmaker, a member of Congress who has been a strong supporter of President Biden's, who suggested the possibility, Savannah, of perhaps an open convention.
Here it comes. You're going to be hearing this a lot in the next couple of weeks because it looked pretty bad on his part. So,
Or replacing President Biden on the ticket. I will tell you, it is all but potentially impossible for that to actually happen. But the fact that that is even being raised, the fact that that is even a shadow now hanging.
so here's the thing with that, just so you all know, I happen to actually know a lot about politics. I don't talk about this a lot, but um, just so you know, they can't just go and replace Biden with like a Gavin Newsom or like a Hillary Clinton or whoever. We're at the stage where, based on how the fundraising and all that works, like if he were going to be replaced, it would have to be Kamala Harris. It would have to be someone who's already on the ticket because of the way the fundraising works. And I heard this explained really well. Actually, it was an anchor on MSNBC, I believe. So all the hype about, oh, just they're going to take Biden and then say replace him with like Michelle Obama. No, it's, to the best of my knowledge, it has to be somebody that's actually on the ticket already. Anyway, let's hear what the talking heads have to say here.
Over the debate performance for President Biden is at minimum a headache for the Biden campaign moving into the next stretch of this campaign ahead of the Republican convention in the next couple of weeks, and at worst, potentially something that will dog them now for months, given what we.
So where the race is right now, if you all follow it, right? So right now, Trump's leading in most of the polls. Um, despite all of his convictions and court cases and all of that, he's probably going to go up in the polls from here. As far as the Biden campaign, they don't have much. There's really nothing else unless they can get him convicted in another court case or something. The facts are pretty much baked in. Inflation, I mean, we're like 4 months here. We're like 4 months out. I mean, so the facts are pretty much baked in now. Inflation, and again, perception, like they say, is the reality among the average general general public. You can tell them all this shit about, oh, 9%. We cut it down to 3. Doesn't matter. 9 plus 3 is 12. 12 plus 3 is 15. That's still 15% cumulative inflation compounding annually over this time. And it's actually more than that. The dollar has lost 50% of its purchasing power over the past 4 years. And the average household feels that way more than the rich, the donor class, and all of that. So, point of the story, yeah, Trump's probably going to get a bounce in the polls from this debate. Um, and there's not, the other side is, the Democratic side is running out of bullets at this point. There's not much left. Um, I mean, they can go hardcore. I hate to see what we had in 2020 again, but like, we're probably going to have some of the racial stuff stirred up again, which I think is very divisive to the country. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but there's not a lot unless he's already been convicted in one case. That hasn't done a lot to his poll numbers. He's actually gone up in 3. Let's actually look at it. You know what? I guess let's be a political channel for the night. How about that? We were already a lifestyle channel in New York. Now let's just try out the political. Because let's see here. Fox doesn't hide their biases. Oh, I agree. That's why. So Fox will say Trump did amazing. MSNBC will say typically Biden did amazing. The Bitcoiners. Yeah, so Trump said something about supporting like Bitcoin or something. Let's see. What I got was some old guy stumbled too much over his words, lost track on where he was a few times for low info voters, shows very little confidence. Never mind all the other stuff. Okay, so let me do this here. I guess I'll handicap the race for you all. One of my favorite. I never get to do this, but I have a secret passion for politics. So I never get to talk about it on here, but I'll go ahead and handicap the race for you all. This is where things stand. So polls, there's so many polls that come out, and really, like they say, the only poll that matters is election day. But right now, if we look at Real Clear Politics, Trump is up 1.5 points in the Real Clear Politics average in a two-way race. Keep in mind, it's not going to be a two-way race; it's actually a five-way race because you've got RFK Jr. in, you've got West, and you've got Stein in as well. So Trump is actually doing better in a five-way race. In the battleground states, he's up right now 3.2 points. For favorability, his unfavorable numbers are actually lower than Biden's at this point. If the election were held today, this is where things would be. Trump would win 312 electoral votes based on the polling today. Biden would get 226. Trump would win back most of the states he won in 2016. The polls have the Republicans up in the generic congressional vote, meaning that they would take probably the House and the Senate as well. That's where things stand. Some polls even have Trump doing well in Minnesota and Virginia. And I'm hearing stuff about him winning New York, but I would think that's highly, highly unlikely. But as far as the polls, let me show you all this because I've had statistics and I know how a lot of these, I know how to look at numbers. I'm a finance guy after all. So right now in the average, he's up 1.5 points. The last two polls that have come out have him up 4 points. One poll is a tie. The Rasmussen poll, which I believe is right leaning, has him up by 9. I would say that's an outlier. The Fox poll actually had Biden up by 2 points. CBS had Trump up by 1. The last poll to have Biden up by 2 was Yahoo. But what we look at, not so much polls because there's so many of them, but trends. You can see here. So the race was Trump was up by 2 here. The race tightened here. And then the gap is starting to widen here again within the last couple weeks. If you look as far as trends, if we go back like 6 months, Trump has been leading for a while. But if you go back to last year, you can see there was a lot more Biden polls. So Biden was leading a lot more polls up until like October, November, December of last year. Since then, Trump's led the majority of the polls. So what I like to look at here also is I like to look at a poll like say Morning Consult. So Morning Consult's consistently shown Biden ahead. This same poll had Trump ahead like a month ago. And then it goes back and forth. It had Trump up by 2 at one point. And then I like to look at, so like Rasmussen had Trump up by 5 here. It's got him up by 9 here. So I like to look at the trends as well. I would say Kamala Harris doesn't help. Honestly, I would say at this point, you never know because of the way voting works and stuff like that. But the Democrats might be screwed this time. I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy about the second coming of Trump, but maybe a reality looking them squarely in the face. So anyway, yeah, like they kind of might be screwed either way. And Kamala Harris, as accomplished as she is, being a former attorney general, senator, and all that, they don't let her do a whole lot of talking, which kind of makes you wonder. So yeah, the Democrats might be screwed on this one. Anyway, all right, you all, that was my political commentary for the night. Thank you all for tuning in. Like, comment, and subscribe, and join Discord. And we will see you all on the flip side. Take care. Good night. Bye.